Hey guys, welcome to the Loni Swain Show podcast, where I share my journey and invite others to share theirs. I'm your host, Loni Swain, media personality and social influencer. I'm on Instagram at Loni Swain. That's LONISWAIN. Hit me up. Plus, the podcast even has its own Instagram page at Loni Swain Show. Now, if you or someone you know would be a great guest for this podcast, hit us up on email, info@LoniSwain.com. Today, joining the show, I've got my girl, Itika Oldwine. We met in Chicago when she was working for the Oprah Winfrey Show, and now she owns her very own floral boutique in downtown LA. Now, Itika, let's start from the beginning. You went to college in LA.
I went to undergrad at UCLA, and a big part of why I went to UCLA is because I'm from California, so I wanted to go to a UC.
And you majored in what?
I majored in political science. I thought I wanted to be an attorney, and I was wrong. I was so wrong.
And then you went to Chicago and you got your master's there.
Yes, I went to Chicago. I got my master's at the University of Chicago in social sciences.
Because you thought you were going to do what with that?
So I went to the University of Chicago because I thought I wanted to get my PhD.
Okay.
To be honest, I wanted to get my PhD in political science or social science.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to, I was really into politics and social economics when I was at UCLA. So kind of believing that your socioeconomic status affected your life, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And I still believe that.
Yeah.
And so I studied it at UCLA, and I really had a passion for it. So I decided that I wanted to go and further my education and get, an advanced degree in social science so that I can be an expert on social science and socioeconomics. And once I got to University of Chicago, I was like, I am not about this academic life. It was very, very, very intense. And I left with my master's, essentially.
Okay.
And I was supposed to go and get do a full PhD program, but I left with my master's.
Mm-hmm. And were you working at Harpo already at that time?
I was not. So I had been a fan of the Oprah Winfrey Show since I think it was like mid-college when I started watching Oprah. It was I remember it was like a summer right before maybe my senior year, my junior year, I started watching the Oprah Show. And I think it was the season where she was doing a lot of shows with Ayanla at the time. Mm-hmm. And I was just so intrigued. I watched it every day that summer. And I just was like, oh my God, Oprah was intriguing, but Ayanla was really intriguing to me. Just kind of like her in your face. It was very much like she is now with Fix Your Life. Like just kind of really in your face. She sounded like, all my aunties.
Right.
So I just was like, yo, this is like an amazing show, and Oprah's great, and Ayanla's like the business. I want to, watch it every day. And then when I got back to school after that summer, I remember telling people that I wanted to work for Oprah. Just randomly. I didn't have any idea what that job would be because I wasn't very familiar with jobs in television.
Right.
Because I grew up in the Bay Area, which is, it's not a lot of TV there. It's like news, but
yeah.
I wasn't ever really familiar with how that worked as a profession. So when I moved to Chicago, I was talking to a friend at the time, and I was like, gosh, I need to get an internship. I was like, it would be dope if I intern with Oprah. And they were like, hello, you're in Chicago. Why don't you just go and apply? And I was like, oh.
Hadn't thought about that.
Right idea. Right? I hadn't thought about it. So I went and applied for the internship, and I got it. I got an internship with Oprah Show while I was going to school at the University of Chicago, and that's where my career started with her.
Wow. And so then you spent how many years there?
I was there a total of 8 years, 8 seasons with the Oprah Winfrey Show. I stayed until the show ended in 2012. It was the final season. 2011 was the final season.
I'm still sad I didn't make it to those final tapings that I was supposed to make it to. One day, eventually, I did get to go to a master class that Oprah did with Dr. Phil. So I did get to do that eventually. Now, There's been some things in between Oprah and the floral boutique even.
Yes. So when I left the Oprah show and moved to Los Angeles, moved back to LA, I wanted to segue into marketing. When I was at the Oprah show, I held several different positions while I worked there. One of them was in the affiliate marketing department. So we did marketing of the show to all of our affiliates, which were stations that aired our show.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my intro into the world of marketing, and I really enjoyed it. And I was really fascinated by our marketing department at the Oprah show, just in general. And so when I moved to LA, I felt like, it was a time I could start over in my career. I knew I had a great resume coming from the Oprah show, so I felt very confident just kind of applying to whatever job I wanted to apply to.
Mm-hmm.
So I applied for a marketing position with AEG, which is the Edwin Entertainment Group. And AEG owns LA Live, which is the complex here in Los Angeles in downtown LA that houses the Staples Center.
Mm-hmm.
And the Staples Center is where the Clippers play, the Lakers, the Sparks. They have BET Experience there, the Grammys, MTV Movie Awards, hundreds of red carpets there a year. So
mm-hmm.
I was hired as part of the marketing team at LA Live working for AEG. Mm-hmm. And so that brought me into the world of marketing and really gave me so much information and experience in marketing while I worked there. I was there for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I left AEG, I really enjoyed marketing, and I felt like I left there with like a PhD in marketing. I mean, to do marketing for that venue with all of the events that they had, all the companies that came through, and all of the high-end clients and VIP clients. I was like, okay, I got this marketing thing down. So I actually started marketing for my own clients. So I had private clients. Mm-hmm. So I left AEG and I had a few private clients, and one of them turned out to be Eric Buterbaugh, who is a world-renowned florist here in Los Angeles, and he was the resident florist at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills.
Nice.
And so he hired me as a marketer, and then I segued from being him being my marketing client to managing his floral company in the Four Seasons Hotel, and that's how I got into flowers.
Nice. And so at any point when he was your client and you were doing the marketing for him, were you like, I kind of like this flower thing, or did you still have no idea at that point?
You know what? There was a moment when, let's just be clear, I was interviewing to work other places while I was still working with him. Sometimes you're a professional woman, you're career driven, you might take a few interviews.
Yes,
so
always.
Right. Just see what's out there. Cast a wide net. So I was interviewing. I was actually I was at the third interview for another job. And not because I wasn't happy with him, I just was kind of just seeing what else was out there. I had been working with him for maybe, 6 months at this point. 6 or 7 months. And I was like the third interview for another position with a totally different company. I think they were, it was like a children's education, kind of more grassroots, which I'm always kind of leaning towards, like kind of working with the community kind of thing. But it was still marketing for them.
Okay.
And it was going to pay me, comparable, if not more than what he paid me. And I was kind of grappling with leaving him and going to this job, and my girlfriend was like, "You're so good with flowers." And I was like, "I am?" She was like, "Yes." She was like, "You want to leave this flower business?" And I mean, my clients that I worked with directly were Chanel and the Carters and Usher and, Louis Vuitton, etc. And she's like, "You want to leave working with like all these amazing clients to go to, work for like First Five California?" I don't know.
Right.
Thinking about it.
No, or better yet, to go work for We Got Y'all off of Insecure.
Just call me. It's a raggedy. Yes, we got y'all. I'm like, yes, honey, she was on her way. And I was like, then for the first time, I was looking at the business that I was working at with flowers as like, I was looking at the value that it brought to me, because you have to now say, okay, am I willing to leave this job for this other job?
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was like, I guess I shouldn't leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think I do like it, and I think I love working with these amazing clients and making beautiful flowers for, a party at Louis Vuitton or an event at, some, fab celebrity's home. Like, it's kind of awesome. Like, I love doing this.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, that's when I was like, okay, I like working with flowers. I get this. I got this. Like, this is me.
Mm-hmm. So how did you transition from employee to entrepreneur?
Well, it was one of those, it's not really working no more. It's not really working no more.
Uh-huh.
And like, it was an amazing company as far as the designers were great. We had about 6 floral designers that were the most talented florists, I would say, in the world. I was working with them there. I mean, gosh, they're doing the flowers for 4 seasons for 20 years.
Right.
You gotta know what you're doing to do that. And they're making flowers for Rachel Zoe and Drew Barrymore. And so it was one of those situations where I loved the designers, I loved the clients, but I wasn't really seeing eye to eye with upper management anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I have found that has happened to me at every job I've been at.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just kind of look at yourself and be like, okay, what's going on?
Mm-hmm. Right. This might not be for me. Working for other people.
Working for other people. And it was because, and one of the first people that hired me to do flowers for them after I left Eric's, when I was like, hey, I left Eric's, I'm doing flowers for myself now. And they're like, that makes perfect sense. They were like, you've always had your own point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? You're right. And this point of view is why I'm not working for him anymore. I'm working for myself.
Right. Exactly.
So that's essentially what it was. It's like it got to a point where I, found myself at a crossroads once again at a company that I was working for someone at, and essentially it was because I had such a strong point of view.
Yeah.
And I never understood that. It kind of was like I was at different, when I left AG, I was at a crossroads with management. I was never at a crossroads really with management at the Oprah show, but at the end of the day, how can you feel like, okay, well, Oprah, I have my own point of view, honey. Kind of go with what she said.
Right. Uh-huh.
But other than Oprah,
right.
my own point of view was getting in the way of kind of me progressing after a while when I was working for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, I would say in a nutshell, why I ended up starting my business.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say has been one of the biggest challenges that you've overcome in this transition of going into entrepreneurship?
I think fear, to be honest. I mean, I was so afraid of not getting a paycheck every 2 weeks that I put, myself in this box of I'm going to get a job and work for somebody else because I'm going to get a paycheck every 2 weeks because that's what I need to do in order to pay rent and get my hair done and go on vacation and pay a car note.
Right.
I was afraid that if I didn't have a job that promised a check every 2 weeks, I would be in the poorhouse. And it wasn't until I got over that fear, and I still have that fear, it's just I've been successfully running a business that's made me money now going on 6 months, which is very long, but it's been great in, in the sense that I haven't felt that loss of a paycheck every 2 weeks for 6 months. And that was what it, I think, really was that I needed to conquer, was that fear.
And how do you feel you did that? How did you overcome it?
So this is going to sound a little basic, but my boyfriend told me that I had to worry about it. Oh my I'm like, that's gonna sound horrible, but it's true. He was like, babe, I got you. He just was like, I was like, babe, I'm so scared, and he was like, don't worry. He's like, I got you. He's like, if there's any issues, if anything happens, and let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, listeners, I haven't had to lean on him for much. You know, it's been very prosperous, my business. But he was my security blanket. Just knowing that I had somebody or something that if this thing failed and I gotta pay rent, you'll be able to help assist out. You know, that was enough. But that is really the honest to God truth. That helped me get over the fear, just knowing that I had a security blanket in him. And, you know,
and it's not, and don't feel bad about it being basic, because for somebody that could be someone, it might just not be a boyfriend. It might be a mother. It might be a father. It might be a sister. It might be a cousin. It might be a best friend. It might be whoever. But having someone to say, hey, I believe in you, and if anything goes left or if you need anything, I got you. So that's perfectly understandable.
And at the end of the day, if your boo can't help you out, he's really the boo for you.
Right, exactly. Hello.
That's really what helped me get over fear, because I have to say, I just wasn't confident enough in, you know, this uncharted territory to not be afraid.
Yes.
I just wasn't. I was scared. I was like, oh my God, am I okay? Am I really doing this? Okay, I'm doing this. Okay.
And so now, this being your first entrepreneurial endeavor, what would you say is something that you've learned about entrepreneurship in these past 6 months that you did not expect, good, bad, or otherwise?
I learned that people will really support you. I have gotten so much support from sea to shining sea, from people that I went to high school with that I haven't talked to since high school, to people that I worked with that I haven't really, you know, kept in touch with other than social media, from people that I talk to every day. I mean, I have gotten so much support. And not to say that I didn't know or believe that I was supported, but when you venture off on your own and have a business, you know, you hear a lot of people complain and say, you know, I haven't been supported. You know, some of my best friends still haven't shopped from me or bought anything from me, or, you know what I mean? You kind of hear these horror stories.
Yeah.
But I have been so supported by my community, and it has just been, I'm just as great. I could not be more gracious. I really couldn't. Like, if I tried to, and I've felt so grateful. Like, I felt overwhelmed with this feeling of support, and I am so gracious. I really am, because they have kept my business going. Everybody that has bought from me, I have to say, I know. It has not been a stranger. I know every single person that has purchased from me.
That's
and that
awesome.
That's like a testament. You know, it's a testament.
Yes, I love that. What is your advice to someone that's listening to this, that's clocking in or just clocked out of that job where they not seeing eye to eye with their superior or their upper management, because they have their own opinions and perspectives, and they have something that they're passionate about that they want to pursue, but they're sitting on that edge of fear? What would your advice be to them?
My advice would be to not listen to that other voice in your head. So I read this book that like really changed the way I thought about the voices in our head, and it's called An Untethered Soul, or The Untethered Soul and Untethered Soul. It's Untethered Soul. And basically what it said was, the voice in your head that's telling you you can't do something, or you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough, or you're not you know, all of these things, it's not your voice, it's other people. It's things that other people have said to you, or the world is saying to you, or, you know, you've heard somewhere along the line. But your voice is the voice that's saying, you got this. You're smart, you're talented, you're an artist, you're an entrepreneur, you're, you know, destined to be something greater. That's your voice. So I would tell them to listen to their voice. Don't listen to those other voices. Those other voices, that's not your voice. That's the outside world. Your voice is the voice that responds to those voices. So your voice is supposed to tell those voices to shut up, or you don't know what you're talking about, or get out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I would tell them to listen to their voice, and what their voice says that they're supposed to do, that's what they're supposed to do, not those other negative voices. Those negative voices are not your voice. So shut those voices up, listen to your voice, and then make a move.
Okay, and look, you jumping ahead. I was gonna ask if there was a book that you would recommend, but you didn't already reference the book, which I love.
I'm in a book club.
Right, exactly. I do know that. I used to be a part of the book club once upon a time, ladies and gentlemen.
one of the long line of members. I know we should have a book club reunion with like all of our members over the years. Right,
exactly, because I was mostly showing up for the food and the wine and the fellowship, and I'd be like, y'all, I didn't get to look, I only got to chapter 2, y'all, forgive me. Tell me what happened, give me the cliff notes. But
with no shame, I'm just gonna put it out there for anybody who's even questioning me.
Right.
I don't know about this book.
Exactly. And in case anybody were to hear this and try to invite me to be in a book club, look, y'all just need to know what type of member I is.
Right, been there, done that.
Absolutely. Now, something, that I like to talk to women about throughout your career, do you feel like being a woman professionally has helped or hindered your advancement?
You know what? I've had a very interesting career in the sense that I've had jobs where I think being a woman has absolutely helped me. And I've had jobs where I think being a woman has hindered me. And I've had experiences in those jobs that have brought me to where I am, have helped me to be the best Itika as a professional entrepreneur, business owner from both positions. But in some positions, being a woman has worked to my benefit. In other positions, it didn't. And I don't, for me, it's not a big deal because nothing is really going to stop. I always feel like nothing is truly going to stop me but me. And so if this is a position where, being a woman is just not really helpful, it's part of the culture or whatnot, I didn't let it get me down. I just said, okay, I'm going to take everything I can from this job. I'm going to do the best that I can, and I'm going to leave with as many tools as I can leave with. And then, the jobs where it's being a woman has helped me, I've milked it for everything it's worth.
Right.
So,
And I think that, what I've learned a lot from doing these podcasts and interviewing people and talking to people is that the saying your perspective and your state of mind is what's most important is so true, because you can have 5 people in the exact same situation, circumstances, and it's that person's mindset and their perspective that will ultimately shape the outcome, regardless of the situation or the circumstances. And so how do you feel that you gained that perspective? Was that something that you were taught or raised to believe that, or have you just kind of adapted that mindset over the years?
I think a little bit of both. I think it's nature versus nurture kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I was born to be, who I am for sure. But I think I was also nurtured by very strong women. Like, I had that old school grandmother that didn't mess around, but she also had a husband. So she was, she wasn't a docile woman at all, but, she also kind of played that position in the house as the woman of the house. And my grandfather was the man of the house. And I had a slew of aunts, and they were all very outspoken, very confident, very beautiful, meaning every single one of them, even though they looked different, they were all beautiful women because they took care of themselves, and they they felt beautiful, you know. So it was from the outside in and the inside out too. And so I had a lot of examples of super strong women, like super strong women I'm so grateful for. And so between, I think, kind of having a natural, you know, I think I'm naturally kind of at one with a lot of things. You know, when I observe things or I kind of feel things, I try not to fight what my intuition tells me. I think I have very good women's intuition. And then I think I also just was raised by these really strong boss women that just, from listening to their conversations and then them constantly pouring, you know, wisdom and girl power into me from birth, just helped me to be the woman I am today, for sure.
And now, one topic of conversation that comes up usually in conversations with beautiful, successful women: can you have it all? Do you believe that, you know, some people started off early with going into getting married straight out of college and having kids and things like that, and a lot of times those women are just now transitioning into a career potentially. And then there's women who have out the gate focused on their career, and they may be getting married and having kids later on in life. Do you feel that, from your perspective and your experience, that it is difficult or impossible to do both at the same time?
Well, first I'd like to say, well, how do you define it all? Like, for me, having it all doesn't necessarily include children. I don't have any, but I've never necessarily tried or wanted or desired, if that makes sense. Like, I haven't said, hey, I'm going to put my career in front excuse me, I'm going to put my career in front of my family. I haven't said that. I've always been in a relationship with a man that I've loved. It just hasn't turned into marriage, or it hasn't turned into a family, but it hasn't necessarily been on purpose. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of been a natural inclination to not have children or not get married. But that doesn't mean that I have anything less. I don't feel that. I don't feel like I have anything less. I don't look at people, you know, and say, hey, if I wouldn't have put my career first, I would have had a family. I don't necessarily know that's the case. So I think it's about what is having it all. I feel like I have it all because I define what it is, what that is, you know? And somebody might not, by definition, believe that I have it all. And that's cool too.
Based on their definition.
Right, based on their definition. But for me, you know, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I make enough money to pay my bills. I have a man in my life that I love very much. I have siblings that I adore, that I have great relationships with. I have a good relationship with my mother and my father. I have an education that I'm proud of. I have friends that I adore. I live in Cali.
What more could you ask for? Yes.
What more could you want?
Yes. So
I feel like, based on what I define, I feel like for me, I'm satisfied. I'm very satisfied. I wake up every day grateful and happy and not wanting for much. You know, what I want is to grow my business and to grow myself as a person and to be a better person to other people and be healthy and work out, and, you know, but that to me that's things that I can kind of control and I demand of myself, you know. But, you know, anything that's outside of that scope, I'm like, it's just not for me. So that is what it is.
And you're the first person to answer that question that way. Whenever it's asked, the assumption is of what having it all is based on what society has kind of set as the bar of, oh, this is this. And of course, it's also something that is more so set and directed towards women of what having it all is. So I appreciate that unique take on that question. What is what you hope to accomplish with your floral boutique?
Geez, I want to create a business that I can develop and grow. So right now we do flowers, which I love, and they're beautiful, and people seem to like them. And I'd like to go into different spaces, do events and do more than just flowers for events. And kind of do maybe like a Martha Stewart-esque kind of moment, because as you know, I like to cook.
Yes.
And I like to host.
Yes.
And so I want to do things like that, like, something that's more all encompassing rather than just flowers.
And so, and just so people understand, can you, because I haven't been to the floral boutique yet, but I will be next time I'm in LA. Can people walk in and buy a bouquet? Can they, walk in and place an order for one individual bouquet? Because what I see a lot on social media is, you're doing the florals for events, larger scale things. And I see individual bouquets and floral arrangements, but how primarily are people able to shop with you right now?
So we're more so an online store. When I worked for the floral designer that I left earlier this year, he had a shop in the Four Seasons, in the Beverly Hills Four Seasons on Doheny Drive. And I would have to say I was with him for 2 years. We probably had a handful of walk-ins. So the flower business is really the type of business, especially now with, everyone shopping online, that people really do shop online, or they want to call and talk to you because they want such a specific thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They want, they either want roses, or they want hydrangea, or they want oranges, or they want pinks, or they want whites, or they want what's in season, or they want something that's aromatic. Like it's so personal. So what I saw with his business was no one really walks in to buy flowers. Like the business that he had was for the designers. It was more like a workshop. So the designers made the flowers, and we had a cooler that we kept the flowers fresh in, and we had the vases and, everything that you need to build the arrangement. But there really wasn't a very big walk-in,
Gotcha.
kind of thing going on. So when I launched my business, I live in downtown LA, and our boutique is in downtown LA, but it's more of a live workspace.
Gotcha.
So we use our loft is the live workspace, and that's where my workshop is. And obviously people can come in, no problem. But all of my business has been online, or, people calling in and telling me what they want. And then I buy, the product, I build the arrangement, and then we deliver it.
Gotcha. And so to go on to what you were saying, you hope to accomplish, you'd like for it to be more of an all-encompassing with events, and add some cooking, maybe add some floral.
And like have a lot of, if I could have maybe some more artisanal items I could sell in addition to flowers, something a little more bespoke, like candles, or my own wine, or type, linens, and just things that kind of put the whole mood together. So flowers are all part of the decor, but now, we're adding a certain type of linen to go on the table, different types of cutlery, plates, I'm into all that kind of fun, chinky things that you can just put down, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is this kind of silver.
Yes. The I forget how the saying goes, but basically it's like it's all in the details, that
the love is in the details.
Yes. And now I know that you worked with the other floral group earlier this year, but would you say that you've had a mentor throughout this process or throughout your life, and what's kind of something that they've been instrumental in helping you with?
You know what? I've had several mentors throughout my life, and I think mentorship is really, and Oprah said this, she said the mentorship is more on the mentee. So she would talk about, people would always come up to her and say, hey, can you be my mentor? And she's like, okay, like, what does that mean? So now I can be your mentor. Now the responsibility's on me. And I mean, it's Oprah. It's like, who has time? It's what she said. I'm words in the mouth. I'm guessing. So, but what she did say was kind of in a lot of ways, the mentorship should not be the burden on the mentor. It is the responsibility of the mentee. So I have just made whoever I wanted to be my mentor. They've been my mentor. In my mind, you're my mentor. Okay, you're not just gonna say no.
Right.
I'm just going to follow you or shadow you or, you know, watch how you have developed your business, watch how you talk to your customers, observe how you know, handle yourself when things get crazy. So
right.
I would say over my life, I've had mentors, and one of them, it's so interesting, is one of my best friend's moms. She was the first woman entrepreneur that I'd ever met. And she was a hairdresser, and she was my hairdresser. And she was like the pop-in hairdresser. Like, I mean, her chair was never empty, and she worked from sundown to sunup. And I remember she would be sick, and she would be doing our hair, and she would be tired, and she would be doing our hair, and she would be on her day off getting out of the bed to come into the shop to do our hair. She just didn't say no to anybody, and she was so personable, and everyone loved her, and she was honest to a fault, and she, you know, always, I don't know how she did it, but, you know, she always seemed to have her money in order. And so I would watch her, and I was always fascinated by her. And I told her that recently. Like, you were the first female entrepreneur that I observed was a hairdresser, you know? And I was close to her because she was my best friend's mom.
Right.
And throughout my life, I've had, you know, I would consider Oprah for sure a mentor. I watched Oprah from the time I started as an intern, and I watched the way she walked into the room and she owned it. And everybody just watched her and waited for her to give direction. And she cared about people. It wasn't just a show. It was really her. She was, if she was talking to you, she gave you her undivided attention at all times. She was respectful of everyone, from the person in the mailroom to the president of her company. They received the same amount of respect. They received the best wages she could possibly give them. We all got ample amount of vacation days. We all were given sick leave. There was no question. If you were sick, do not come in. It wasn't like, we really need you. It was like, stay home. You know? Everyone's birthday was celebrated. Everyone's children's graduations were celebrated. She just honored everyone that worked for her. And I have nothing. That is what I try to do 100% with my employees. Like, I want them to feel like coming to work for me is a pleasure. It's a joy. I don't want anyone begrudgingly showing up to do anything for me, or I don't want you to do it. You know, and just, especially not if it's something that I've caused. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I've just kind of pulled from all sorts of people, from my girlfriend's mom, who's my hairstylist, to Oprah Winfrey throughout my career. And I've taken, you know, all of this knowledge from, you know, when I worked for Hennessy Black, one of the managers of sales reps, I forget what her exact title was, but she's still a great friend of mine to this day. But I would just watch how she would, you know, do all of these hostings with alcohol, but she would be on her job. You know, she didn't take it and turn it into like, oh, it's just a party and we're going to, you know, drink Hennessy and get it cracking.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do this activation, go home, send a report in, you know, make sure that everything is on point for the next activation, like just really being professional. So I think throughout the years, I've just taken from all of these amazing people that I've had, you know, the joy and the privilege to work with or work under.
What is something that sets OldVine apart from other floral boutiques?
Well, first off, you know, as a Black female florist, I have to say there's not that many of us out there. So just by virtue of, you know, the owner, I think we definitely set ourselves apart from other floral companies. And we are located 2 blocks from the Flower Mart. So the Los Angeles Flower Mart is one of the biggest flower marts in the country. And we go there every day and we pick out our flowers for our clients. So I was just making an arrangement for Yara from Grownish, and it's like I'm picking picking out her flowers, and I'm like, okay, are these fresh? Yeah, they just came in today from Ecuador. You know what I mean? And everyone can't say that. Like, okay, these just came in from Ecuador. So I went and I bought them today.
Right.
Other than getting on a flight and going to Ecuador, this is as fresh as it gets.
Right.
So, you know, all of our flowers are handpicked by me, fresh from Ecuador. We're coming from. And my design aesthetic, I believe that, you know, it's, as I've said, the love is in the details. I don't know if I said it to you today, but I often say that to people. And my design aesthetic is very detail oriented. So I'm plucking off any petals that aren't fresh. I'm cutting every single thorn off. I'm cutting off all the leaves so they're not making the water murky. I love, you know, bountiful arrangements, lush. I don't skimp when it comes to flowers. I love vibrant colors. If you don't like vibrant colors, if you want something a little more muted, I'll get the best possible muted colors you can ever think of. I'm just very hands-on, and I think that when people order flowers, it's such a from the heart type of thing that, you know, you want to know that the person that built this arrangement from you, like, put their heart and soul into it. And I definitely do that with all of my arrangements.
I definitely appreciate the part of being able to say this is fresh from Ecuador, and everybody can't say that. So when I get my arrangement, be like, well, you know, these are from
fresh from Ecuador.
And so now, before I let you go, I want to ask you some fun questions that people kind of get an idea of your personality, even though it definitely came through in the questions. But what's something that you wish you were better at?
I wish I was better at finances. I think for my business, I'm very, very good at accounting and everything. But when it comes to personal, I am a mess. And so I'm going to try to take my accounting skill that I'm applying to OldVine and apply it to Itika Oldwine. She is a mess.
Now, among your family and friends, what are you most known for?
Oh my God, that's weird. I had a party this weekend, and one thing that all my girlfriends were like saying, they were like, "Girl, you are still turned." They were like, if one thing has not changed, is the turn up. So apparently, I'm also a bit of a turn up.
Well, and I was.
You can attest to that, Loni.
Of course I can, but I was gonna say it in the sense of you're very social. Like, you're always someone to want to get together or, you know, bring people together. Whether that be, you know, at the house or at the club or whatever. It's like, you know, let's invite people over. Like, it's a Tuesday, but we getting together and, you know, like, just creating community wherever you are.
Yes. Well, this is going to sound so cliche, but according to my therapist, I'm an extreme extrovert.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. You didn't have to pay her to tell you that. I could have told you that one.
I found after a few sessions. Well, I it, but she's a gem. Love her.
Yes, and she's on point, so she's credible. What's your favorite way to waste time?
Oh, what's my favorite way to waste time?
Instagram.
I have to say, reality TV, honey.
Oh.
A good marathon, honey. She will do an entire season of Real Housewives of Atlanta in one sitting. And I'm calling him out. My boo will too. So I mean, we watch it all. I'm over it. I'm like, please do not release another show. I can't do it. I got things to do.
Right. You don't have enough hours in the day to watch that and be productive.
Like, luckily, I can just pop on a little reality TV and put this arrangement together and not get too distracted. I definitely waste a lot of hours and mind power, cells, whatever you want to call it, watching reality TV.
Okay, now, what's something you think everyone should do at least once in their lives?
Gosh, I would say travel. I mean, I have always had a little bit of the travel bug, just because I've always wanted to get out of my comfort zone. So, when I was younger and, girls' trips to Miami and, going to visit friends in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started traveling abroad. So, going to the Mediterranean or Mexico, Jamaica. I would say just traveling. I think everyone should do it if there's somewhere that you've always wanted to go see, whether you have to save your little coins,
Mm-hmm.
get to saving and go and get out there, because you learn so much. You never come back from any place that you travel to the same. You always are going to take something from that culture, whether it's in the States, you're just traveling to a different city, or whether you're leaving the country, you're going to come back just a little different. I would say traveling.
Okay, now this is the either or game. I name two things, you pick either or. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Bath or shower?
Shower.
Passenger or driver?
Passenger.
Cardio or weights? Neither. No.
Oh, I have a trainer now.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah, like what? Yeah, girl. Trainer, bro. I'm at that age. You're gonna have to either push yourself or get somebody to push you. In the gym. I would probably say, because I have a trainer, I would probably say weights. Okay.
Winter or summer?
Summer.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or Martin?
Martin.
Nas or Jay-Z?
Jay-Z.
Tupac or Biggie?
Pac, for sure. I'm from the West Coast.
Right. I was just testing you. Some West Coast people might say Biggie. You never know. Cornbread or biscuits?
Cornbread.
And in your partner, do you prefer intelligent or funny?
Intelligent.
Older or younger?
Gosh, older.
Tattoos or piercings?
Tattoos.
Hug or kiss?
Kiss.
Okay.
Just like that too.
They say everybody should have a go-to joke that they tell if asked to do so. Do you have a go-to joke?
Oh my God. I mean, this is the thing. I have a horrible memory.
Oh.
I do. It's genetic.
Uh-huh.
Sure, but I have the worst memory. I have to write everything down. I have heard some amazing jokes, but for the life of me, I can never remember them. So they're like, my go-to joke is like, it has to do with a camel and an oasis. But if I tried to tell the joke right now, I would be like, wait. So then he got, I know there's a camel and oasis involved.
So you need to get a shorter go-to joke that's only like 1 or 2 lines. That sounds like the problem. The joke is too long. That's the problem.
But it made me laugh. I told it so many times because it was so funny to me. And then the longer time between telling it, the more of the joke I've forgotten, and now it's just a mess. It's not even funny anymore.
Well, when you remember, I'm going to have to look it up online and then send it to you and say, is this the joke that you were trying to talk about? Okay. Well, thank you, Itika. It has been a pleasure hearing your story and learning more about you. Even though we're friends, I learned more about you in this conversation. So I really appreciate it. And tell everybody where they can find you and OldVine Florals online.
Sure. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to share with your audience about my business. It's called OldVine Florals. We're online, obviously. Our website is oldvineflorals.com. We're also on all social media outlets, so Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all under OldVine Florals. So check us out, go online. We're only delivering in the Los Angeles area right now. So if you don't live here, but you have someone that you want to send flowers that does live in the Los Angeles area, hit us up. And if you live in LA, definitely hit us up. We got you.